I'll see when you comment in the comments that you're here. All right, looks like you're here because I see there's one viewer, right? All right, so Bruchim Aboyim, just I guess you can put a comment just to let me know that you're here, Reb David. You said you were by our channel. I know we have one viewer, and then we'll get started learning. Okay. Okay, so again, we'll just get started. All right, Reb David, thank you. All right, Bruchim Aboyim, welcome everyone. We are in Siman Reish Pei Hey in the Tur Orach Chaim. That's 285.
I can draw for you.
Moses was learning.
Draw's head.
So v'tzarich l'zor l'ashlam aparshim atzibur. So the Torah says a person has to be careful to finish the parsha together with the tzibur. What does that mean? Rav Huna Breder Rav Yehoshua quotes Chazal. The Gemara says that Rav Huna, the son of Rav Yehoshua, Amar Rabbi Yoina, says the name of Rabbi Yoina, Amar Rabbi Ami, says the name of Rabbi Ami. Olam Yashlim Adam Parsh Yosef Im Hatzibur Shnayim Mikra v'echad Targum. That person should always complete his Torah portions with the congregation. Shnayim Mikra, twice in the scripture, meaning the Hebrew. V'echad Targum, and once in the Aramaic Targum. And it's very specific. Chazal say Targum can't be just whatever you want, and not even, there's different versions of the Targum. It's very specifically the Targum Onkelos. And it says, Afilu ataris v'divon. So that's a pasuk in Parshas Dvarim, meaning even psukim, even verses that don't seem to be telling us anything, just names of places and so forth. We should still recite them twice in Hebrew and once in Aramaic, even though the Aramaic Targum of Ataris V'Divon is the same as the Hebrew. Still, nonetheless, we recite it all three times. And anyone who completes his Torah reading with the congregation, his days and years are lengthened, which either could mean he's worthy to a long life, or he's worthy to a very, a life of length, meaning that the days are long, the days are filled with meaning, a meaningful life, and likely both. That thing's cool. Sorry. Afilu atros v'divon. So even this pasuk that says Ataros v'Divon names these place names.
Yep.
Rabbeinu Shlomo. So Rabbeinu Shlomo says, show that to mommy. Go bring that to mommy. Show it to mommy.
Mama, let's bring mommy.
Even Ataros v'Divon. So Perish Rabbeinu Shlomo afal pi she'ein lo targum. Meaning, even though that this pasuk has no targum, meaning the targum is the same as the Hebrew, you still recite it all three times, as we just said. Afilu Ruven and Shimon kiyotze b'zeh. And similarly, we have in Parshas Shmos, it begins, Ruven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda. It gives the names of the Shvatim, of the tribes, and so too in the Aramaic Targum, it's exactly the same as the Hebrew. Nonetheless, we recite all of them. So you have to recite it 3 times, read it 3 times. But another explanation of why it says a Taras V'Divon is that there are books which include the Jerusalem Targum. V'Nakat a Taras V'Divon. So I believe that means that the Targum Yerushalmi just skips over those verses as opposed to Onkelos, which records them. Afal pish ein tzrichen kol kach Targum, even though they don't really need to be translated. Or it could be that it might be that the Yerushalmi, Targum Yerushalmi, translates the Taras V'Divon. We'll see when we. I don't want to interrupt in the middle of this simon because it's hard to get back to the same place. So Afal Pishen Tzrichim Kol Kach Targum, even though they don't need such a translation, the Targum Yerushalmi maybe does have some translation. If one adopts that view, then you would not have to recite Reuben and Shimon 3 times. So when it says Rabbeinu Shlomo, it means Rashi. And the minig is to be machmir, to be strict like Rashi. So some say, or at least the Torah says, that if one learns Rashi, choshev kamay targum, that's considered the same as reciting the Targum. She'ein kavanas a Targum ela sheyavin ha'inyan of limkar b'shar lazlo. Because the point of the Targum is to understand what the Chumash is saying. But if you read in other foreign languages, you're not fulfilling it if you recite, whether it's the JPS or it's the Art Scroll or King James or the Hafdil or whatever it is, Charles Kahana or Vari Kaplan, others, one doesn't fulfill by reciting those, which seems to contradict what he's saying here. Meaning, if you read in this other language and that's what you understand, meaning you might not understand Rashi, you might not understand Onkelos, but you read the English, you do. Now we have English translations of Rashi and Onkelos. It's hard to really understand what the Torah is trying to bring out here. So every week from the first day of the week, meaning Sunday, and on, is considered that you recited it with the congregation. Why? Because you start reading Shabbos Mincha, we start reading the next week's Parsha. So it's so then you do it like that. Mitzvah minamuvcha shiashlam oisei kodim sheichel b'Shabbos. Now the greatest way of doing the mitzvah is to complete it before you eat on Shabbos. I'm not sure if that usually if when it says like this Shabbos stam, it doesn't say like Leil Shabbos. It just says Shabbos. It seems to be a reference to the Shabbos day lunch, to Kedusha Rabbah. I could be wrong. If you didn't conclude it before you ate Yashlam Achar Achila, then you finished after you eat Kodim HaMincha, but before you daven Mincha. But also very fascinating, the Torah says once Mincha comes, then you missed out on that week's Parsha. And so you have to read it then. Now I know it's generally taught that no, if you miss it, you have to make it up.
It's
But the Torah seems to say, no, you have to do it that week. And that's what it means. In Tzibur, it makes sense. Now, you can fulfill it by actually reading, with the Tzibur. So at least that's one time, So, I want to look at, before we can continue, well, might be worthwhile look at some of these Meforshim, because it's not so clear what he's saying here. But it's taking, and we know that the Meforshim on can you hear me? We know that the Meforshim on the Torah are rather long, so I don't think it's kedai to look at we're not going to have time for that. So, nonetheless, I want to look at this pasuk at Teres V'Divon, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is in Parshas Devarim. Could be wrong. We could search the pasuk. Might be just easier to do, because it might be some.
The frozen one down there. Right? You want the frozen one? Yeah.
Teres
That, right?
V'Divon. So.
Is that a compressor? Yeah.
Open this and it should show the pasuk. Excuse me, I just because here the Al-Shech HaKadosh talks about this. Which verse is it on? Numbers 32. Maybe even just with Devon. So I guess that's where it is. It's here, Numbers 21. Let's open that. So I was wrong about where it is. Numbers 21. It's like Parshas Baloscha, or maybe this isn't.
Banana, rice, applesauce, toast. What?
Chukas. It's Parshas Chukas. I think I'm reading. Let's try Devarim again, because I might be second guessing myself too much. Maybe not. Let's just try again. All right, I'm showing my ignorance. My ignorance. My emails too. Alright, here we go. 32:3. Alright. So here it is. So the Targum Yerushalmi. Oh, so the Targum Yerushalmi does translate a Taurus v'divoin machlelta matbeshta. This is what we're looking for. So it translates basically as opposed to Onklus. Just no. Onklus also says machlelta malbeshta. So why does they all say it? All right, that's a bigger mystery now. Why it's mentioning those psukim when the Targum actually does make a difference. All right. Again, it shows my ignorance here. So let's get back to the Shulchan Orach. Reish Pei Hey. That's where we're up to. And all right, so we're in the Shulchan Aruch, Chaim, Siman Reish Pei Hey, 285. Likras a parsha Shnayim Mikra Targum Boy Zayin Sifim. I remember in yeshiva, the Mashgiach, Rabbi Bamberger Zolgazunstein, he wrote a lot of books for Art Scroll, like Great Jewish this, Great Jewish that. So Rabbi Bamberger, he said, there's a Musar Sefer called the Shulchan Orach that says you should learn Shnayim Mikra. So it says, Likrosh Parsha Shnayim Mikra Targum. You should read the weekly Torah portion twice in the Hebrew, which is here the literal word Mikra is the scripture, or that which is read. V'echad Targum, and one in the translation of Vayzayin Seifim, and there's 7 halachos here. So the first one is as follows: Af al pi shadam shemei kol Torah kula kol Shabbos b'tzibur. Even though a person hears the whole Torah every Shabbos, meaning throughout the year, or according to the old Yerushalmi minhag, in 3 years, kol Shabbos b'tzibur, every Shabbos publicly in the congregation, chayiv likros la'atzmo. He's obligated to read it himself. The Chol Shavua, every week, Parshas Oisei Shavua, the portion of that week, Shnayim Mikra V'echad Targum, twice in the Mikra, twice in the original scripture, and once in the Targum, Afilo Taras V'divon. And that includes the Taras V'divon. So let's see, what does the Mishnah Berurah have to say about this, because it's, after we looked at the... So first of all, he says he has to read himself every week. He shouldn't read it the week before. We also shouldn't read it late. Dina, I'm learning. The Tzarech Lahashlam Parsha of Imut Sibur, that you have to finish the Parsha with the congregation. And quotes the Gemara that anyone who finishes the Parsha with the Tzibur has a long life. Shnayim Mikra. Read it twice in Hebrew. Yikra echad mikra v'echad targum chavan l'shmayim me'eshatz al tzarech likros bal peha mikra chutz m'ashir shama me'eshatz. So you have to actually recite it. It's not. We don't say shomea ka'ona. That you hear it from the shliach tzibur. It's one thing if the shliach tzibur himself is laning, but he could, and I think, and we assume he should practice it first, so he just has to pretty much at least practice it once, and then also one time have the Targum, which again the Torah says it seems that Rashi is sufficient. However, what you could do is read with your mouth together with the Balkari. See the Magen Avram, Lechem Chumudis, that B'diavad, it's enough to listen one time. But some Achronim are Machmer B'diavad. And the question is also, how do you read it? Do you read each pasuk twice? And some say, no, you read the whole parsha twice, and then the Targum. I mean, and when you say a parsha, it means a paragraph, doesn't mean the Sedra, doesn't mean the Torah reading. So there's different opinions. So it says the Gra would read the whole parsha, meaning the whole paragraph, or the open paragraph or closed paragraph, and read the Targum after that. Or it doesn't, but he says it really doesn't matter. And also he says that if you know the Tam and the Nekudas by yourself, the best way to do it is to actually read it from a Sefer Torah. All right. So then it says Teres V'Divon, even though it doesn't have a Targum, Reuven and Shimon, the same thing. But some say you should read the Targum Yerushalmi. But again, we just looked at I'm going to have to look inside a Chumash, a Teres V'Divon, because we just looked at it and they all had Targum, so I don't know. So let's just look quickly in the Chumash because it's rather confusing. Teres V'Divon, yeah. The Onkus here says Mechlal Tol Bashta. I don't know why it says that there's no Targum on that pasuk. I don't know why it's that seems almost like one of those things they call the Mandela effect. I don't know. All right, we'll go weiter, and then when we finish, we'll get into some of the Kabbalistic inyanim of Shnayim Mikra. Beis, in one of the parts of Perish Rashi, Chashuv Kumoy Targum, Yishamayim Targum Gam Rashi, Perish Rashi. So, Shulchan Aruch says Rashi counts like the Targum, but a pious person should read all three. Should read the, Shnayim Mikra, Targum, and Rashi. Gimel Miyum Rishon Ve'el Chashuv Imetzibor. You considered reading with the congregation starting Sunday. Mitzvah Dalad Mitzvah min Muvcha Shiash Lamoisa Kodim Shirichel b'Shabbos. The mitzvah, best mitzvah is to finish it before you eat on Shabbos. V'mleihish lam Kodim Echila Yashlam Achar Echila. If you didn't finish before you eat, you finish after you eat. Out of Mincha until Mincha. V'yesharmim ad Revi b'Shabbos. And some say you could still read until Wednesday. Shamir ad Shmini Atzeres. But some say actually, so this is probably most lenient opinion, is that as long as you finish by Simchas Torah. And I guess, again, in the old days it was a 3-year, that's also what to talk about. Hey, yochel likros a parsha Shnayim Mikra v'echad targum b'shas kriyas Torah. You're allowed to read Shnayim Mikra during kriyas Torah. Vav melamdi teneiches ein tzrichim lachsav likros a parsha b'Shabbos. If you're a teacher of children and you taught the children how to read these psukim that week, and you recited it already, you don't need to read it again for Shabbos. And then Zayin ein tzorech likros parshas Yom Tov. So you don't need to read the Yom Tov reading. You just need to read the weekly Shabbos reading. Obviously, the Yom Tov readings are in weekly Shabbos readings. However, it's ein tzorech likros haftaros, and also you don't have to read the haftarah. Mikol makom nahagam likros haftarah. And however, there's a minhag to read the haftarah. B'Shabbos shel chasna yikra haftarah shel Shabbos v'leis asis. And in the old days, there was I don't know if some places in Yekus, I don't know, there was a minhag to read a special haftarah when there was a chosin. I don't know if it was read by I'm not sure if it was read by the Afruf or by Shever Brachas, that I don't remember. But but he says the point is, even though in the shul they're reading a different haftarah, you read that Shabbos haftarah, which would also maybe seem to indicate, like this week was Miketz. Miketz has a haftarah, which is the haftarah of Shlomo Melech cutting up the babies, right? And we almost never read that, but maybe we should read it at home. So now I want to get into the minhag of how various minhagim of how to do Shnayim Mikra. So the Lubavitcher Hasidim, what they do is, since the parsha has 7 aliyos, they read each day of the week an aliyah, right? They have the chitas, is what they call that, the Chumash, Tehillim, and Tanya, that there's a Tanya reading for each day, and the monthly Tehillim, and that each day, the Chumash, Shnayim Mikra v'echad targum, meaning Sunday you read Kohen, and Monday you read Levi, and Tuesday you read Shlishi, etc. Now, it's a rather strange thing, because Lubavitch, they claim to follow the minhag of the Arizal. But the Arizal, I believe, I could be wrong, said like this, that on Sunday you read 6 psukim, Monday you read 4 psukim, 4 psukim, Tuesday is 5 psukim, Wednesday is 6, Thursday is 5, then Thursday night, which is the night of Friday, you read 26 psukim, and then Friday in the day you finish the parsha. And that is what we have in the Chok L'Yisrael. And the Chok L'Yisrael also has that for the Haftarah, as well as it goes through Mishlei like that, and part of Tehillim, and then, the Mishnayos, the Gemara, the Zohar, Halacha, and Musar that we have in the Chok L'Yisrael. So the difference is that I would say it's easy during the week, and then Thursday night gets a little harder, although sometimes you finish already Thursday night. And then Friday, you have to spend a longer time getting through. It's not that long, but that's it seems from like the literature poskim, like what we saw before, is that for them it doesn't really matter. But I believe that the Chok L'Yisrael is based on on the Ariya Kodosh. So anyway, that's the that's the halacha of Shnayim Mikra of Echad Targum. Um, so we went through a lot of interesting bits of halachas there, and it is like I said, the mashgiach said in yeshiva that it's like he was saying keilu the Shulchan Aruch is a Musar Sefer, meaning it's not a Musar Sefer, it's a halacha Sefer, and it's a halacha to recite the Shnayim Mikra. So, and again, it's something you can do. I think the Satmar Rav, his minhag, I think in addition to doing the Chalkal Yisrael, Friday night he would read the Parsha again, so he would actually do before the Tish. So he would actually do 3 times Mikra, I believe. A term that's often used for this is Maver Sedra, passing over the Sedra, the weekly portion, the weekly order of reading. And whatever, it's something that people should take more seriously. We don't tend to as much as we should, but we should probably consider it. Or not just consider it, we should do it because it's a halacha. So, all right. Any questions or comments or anything? I guess we can talk off of the YouTube because Zoom wasn't working, or maybe we could try to get into Zoom or anything, or you can comment if you have any questions or anything. All right. And I don't see any comments in the... All right. All right. Thank you for watching. Anybody new, God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment.